Since we launched this investigation in December of 2015, the Justice Department has deployed our largest team ever in a policing pattern or practice case to conduct a thorough and fair investigation of the Chicago Police Department and Independent Police Review Authority. We found that the Chicago Police Department engages in a pattern or practice of using excessive force, including deadly force and non-deadly force. This pattern includes, for example, shooting at people who present no immediate threat and tasing people for not following verbal commands. This conduct doesn't only harm residents, it endangers officers. It results in avoidable deaths and injuries and trauma. And it erodes police community trust that truly is the cornerstone of public safety. We found that this pattern of unconstitutional force is largely attributable to systemic deficiencies within the CPD and the city. We found that CPD does not adequately train its officers to use the appropriate amount of force. We found that Chicago's accountability systems are broken. Many complaints that should be investigated are not. And when investigations do occur, they are glacially slow and staffed by overworked and undertrained investigators who often fail to obtain basic witness statements and evidence. Officers are too rarely held accountable for misconduct, and when they are, discipline is unpredictable and ineffective. And we found that CPD is failing to provide officers with the support that they need to deal with the stress and trauma of their jobs. The failures that we identified and that we heard about from residents and officers alike have deeply eroded community trust, particularly in African American and Latino communities suffering the most from gun violence on Chicago's south and west sides. These neighborhoods are the hardest hit by CPD's pattern of unlawful force and breakdown in the city's accountability systems. These breakdowns breed distrust and undermine police legitimacy in the very communities that need fair, proactive policing the most. Distrust of law enforcement makes residents unwilling to share information, and that makes it harder for officers to solve and prevent crimes. Chicago's leaders, including especially the mayor and superintendent, of course, are aware of many of these problems, and to their credit, have been working to address them.
As noted in this report, we've already improved and expanded de-escalation training, and we're upgrading our use of force policies. We're providing every officer with body cameras and tasers. We've expanded recruitment efforts to ensure that the department draws on all the communities that make up this great city. We've improved transparency and strengthened our oversight and accountability. We have changed the way our first responders react to individuals with serious mental illness so that they know the difference between a mental health call and a crime call. But I want to be clear. The Chicago Police Department, the City of Chicago, is already on the road to reform, and there are no U-turns on that road.
I am pleased to announce today that the Department of Justice and the City of Chicago have agreed to begin negotiations on an independently monitored, court-enforceable consent decree. It is very, very clear a transition is coming in Washington, but the departure of one or two people, and yes, the top people at the Department of Justice move on, but this agreement is not dependent on one or two or three people. This agreement has been negotiated and is dependent upon the career lawyers, both here in Chicago and in Washington. Also, it is dependent upon the partnership with the elected officials here, the police department here, as well as the community residents here in Chicago.